Okay, England have beaten the Norwegians 3-0 in Le Havre. They were the better team from the first whistle to the final whistle, and it didn't take long for England to score the opening goal. It took 2 minutes and 15 seconds, officially 3 minutes because they round up to when the play starts again. But it's the quickest goal so far. It's created down England's right. All of England's goals technically were created down the right-hand side. The Norwegian defence on the left-hand side could not cope with Lucy Bronze, Nikita Paris, and their interplay. Plus, when other players came on later on, they still couldn't cope throughout the game. And Jill Scott, the fact that Ellen White has a complete miss kick and misses the ball and nutmegs herself, other players would have been put off. And that's it may not be the cleanest, crispest finish, but she gets enough accuracy and enough pace on the ball to beat the goalkeeper and get it in off the post. And that's also good midfield play, supporting the attack by getting into the box to pick up pieces if the striker misses or there's a save or there's a rebound. That's textbook attacking centre midfield play by getting into that part of the box and finding that bit of space. And it's a brilliant, well-worked goal that only took 2 minutes to conjure up, literally from the first kick-off, straight down the right, and Norway just couldn't cope with that. And that was the theme throughout the game, because Ellen White hit the post later on in the game. From a similar kind of build-up of play down the right, Norway couldn't cope, and they were opened up regularly down both flanks, but particularly down the right. They just had no answer to England's attack down the right side of midfield, the right wing, and stopping crosses. They just couldn't do it. It was continuous throughout the game. The second goal is, I think, even better. It's a counter-attack. Norway lose the ball in England's half. A couple of quick passes. Bronze, Paris, White. Bang, bang, bang. It's quick. This is something that I think the England set up for both men's and women's national sides through the youth levels to the senior teams do very, very well. Is when it's quick counter-attack ball, England seem to be at their best. I think this is a philosophy that St George's Park they have in the FA system and the England system. I think this is the blueprint going forward, because I've noticed with England sides, when they have a lot of the ball, they can make a lot of sloppy errors at the back, and that actually happened in this game. After they got 3-0 up, they made a lot of sloppy errors, but that second goal, I think, is one of the best goals of the tournament so far for quick counter-attacking play. It may not be the best goal overall, but it was pretty nice to watch. Half-time comes, and I think the Norwegians were begging for half-time to come at this point and reorganise and adjust themselves, because they could not cope with the incisive play that England was showing, especially, as I say, down the right. It was a free-for-all. I think any player could have run down the right-hand side for England and got across him, because Norway just could not stop it. They could not stem the bleeding down the right. And then they had problems down the left as well. Their two centre-backs were getting isolated one-on-one, giving away free kicks, and eventually gave away a penalty as well. They just could not cope. And England didn't decide to kill time by putting it into the corner towards the end of the game. They were going for a fourth, and if they could, possibly a fifth. And they could have had 3 or 4 goals in the first half, and they possibly should have had 5 or 6 overall. We'll get to why they didn't later on. After half-time, there's a free kick on England's right, and they pass it to Lucy Bronze, and the free kick, the referee says, I want the free kick taken again. And they do it again. They have another practice. They do it again, and of course Lucy Bronze is closed down, but within a few minutes, there's another free kick on pretty much the same location, and this is a set move. They've worked out that the Norwegians don't pick up the deep runner from deep off free kicks in wide areas, similar to corners. They've worked this out. Lucy Bronze's finish is an exocet missile, is the best way I can describe that. Could the goalkeeper do better? Possibly, but the ball's already passed her by the time she reacts to it. But Norway didn't learn from the first time. The second time and third time, that's leathered in the back of the net. I don't think you'll see a crisper finish in this tournament. I really don't. I think the technique's perfect, and it's straight as an arrow. It goes straight in. There is no stopping that. I think that is a rocket. And God, I've seen that done in the men's game a lot. That kind of set play. And I've seen it in this World Cup a lot, these kind of cheeky little set plays by sides that are thinking outside the box. And that's the sign of a good side that are playing with confidence and playing well, is thinking outside the box when you've got that kind of situation. After that goal goes in, however, Norway somehow get on top in the play. They're actually playing better, but it took until the 66th minute for Norway to actually get a shot on target. And when you're 3-0 down, you'd expect them to have more chances on goal, even when you're 1-0 down. So that shows how Norway's midfield was strangled. but England allowed Norway back into the game with chances because they got sloppy. And that sloppiness continued for a good 10-15 minutes. Now, you could put that down to tiredness, you could put that down to the heat, you could put that down to a few bumps and bruises, maybe not players 100% fit. There was a concerns that there was a virus around the squad earlier this week. So things may not have been perfect in the build-up to this game, but some of the play was a bit sloppy and a bit heart in mouth at times. And Karen Barty pulled off some good saves. And defending, when one defender made a mistake, there were other defenders getting back to make the block, make the tackle, or force the Norwegian player out wide, make the angle harder for that shot. But it was a bit nervy, and a better side would definitely have possibly scored at least 1 or 2 goals on another day. Then there's the penalty. Now, this is again across, I think it was a free kick actually from the right. Again, a penalty is given away, pushing the back of Steph Houghton. Rightly given, no need for VAR. This referee tonight was very competent, and the VAR was not used once, and it worked. And the goalkeeper proved you can save a penalty with the new rules being on the line. So, but it's Nikita Parris' second penalty miss of the tournament, and that's got to be a concern because all 3 penalties she has taken, she's gone right every single time. And I think the first one, obviously, she scores it in the group stages. The save against Argentina, it's a decently struck penalty, not the best, and it was at a decent height for the goalkeeper. The Norwegians have obviously seen the 2 previous, bits of footage of her taking penalties. They know she's always going to go right, and the goalkeeper has clearly done her homework. The goalkeeping coach of Norway should be congratulated for focusing on, there's a penalty, who's going to take it? If she's on the field, she's going to take it. Nikita Parris is going to take the penalty if she's on the pitch, and it's saved. That's 2 in a row. And you've got to think if Phil Neville, the coach, he's got to look at that and go, okay, next time there's a penalty or we have a penalty, because we've had 3 in the tournament, there's a likelihood we're going to have more with VAR, and the way the tournament's going, there are other competent penalty takers in the team. There's actually quite a fair few of them who take penalties regularly for their club sides. So that's a cause of concern. The defensive sloppiness at times is a cause of concern. But going forward, they were going for a 4th. If they had that 4th, they would have gone for a 5th. There was none of this put the ball in the corner and time waste. They wanted to get more goals. They wanted to prove and put a marker down, and they did that. On the Norwegian side of things, they looked tired. And I think the extra time and penalties against Australia is a contributing factor to that. The Norwegian coach has been criticised for not rotating the squad enough because he's stuck with the same starting lineup for every game. And I think that's had an effect. The players looked tired. They looked, by the end of the game, they were getting very, very leggy, and they could not cope with England's high press, which is first up. England had a very high press, and they couldn't cope with the pace down the flanks. Through the middle of the field, yes, they were effectively choking the middle of the field. But on the wider areas, if the ball got turned over, England, instead of going through the middle, passed it out wide quickly, and they got a lot of joy, primarily down the right, but also down the left as well. I think there was only one booking in the entire game. That's Theos Diotir. That is the only booking in the game. And that just shows how the game was played. I think it was played in the right way. Complete difference to the England-Cameroon game, where I think players should have been sent off and weren't. And that's left a bad taste in the mouth, not just for England fans, but for football fans in general, and those getting into, not just the women's game, but getting into football who for many years, not had an interest because of the histrionics of the men's game. This was the complete antithesis. This was the perfect advert for the game. It shows that the women can score goals just as good as the men. And there was a shout for a Norwegian penalty. Had the Norwegian Utland gone down, that would have been a penalty. It came from a sloppy England back pass. She stays on her feet and then has the audacity to try a low tight angle shot that is blocked by Steph Houghton. In the men's game, the male player throws himself to the floor, feels the slightest contact. Instead of hurdling the challenge and carrying on and trying to attempt to have the shot, they go down. It was good to see that she stayed on her feet and took the shot. And if that had gone in, England might have got nervy and might have got in within their shell a little bit. It didn't. But there we go. I'm going to leave that there. England are the first team through to the semi-finals. Tomorrow night we've got the host France playing against the USA. That is going to be a really interesting game in the park. I think that's in the Parc des Princes. So that's going to be a sellout. And there's a lot of controversy around the American women's team with some of the comments made by some of the players and some of their antics with celebrations in this World Cup. That's going to be interesting. And the French, I think, an England-France semi-final will be brilliant, if that is to happen. But an England-USA semi-final, that's happened before as well. There's been England-USA have met before in the World Cup in the knockout stages, and it wasn't a blowout in the favour of the USA. It was a very tight game last time England and USA met in a knockout game. It was only 1-0 to the USA. So that's going to be interesting. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below and I'll have some... but before I go, yeah, as I say, Bronze's goal is the 900th in Women's World Cup history, all time. And Jill Scott's goal was the fastest of the tournament so far. So that's the note of the day. So for now, thank you very much for watching and I shall see you all very, very soon.